Greetings, brethren. I'm sure you all have noticed that we have entered uncharted territory. Now, if you are a believer, a faithful believer, a living sacrifice, a law keeper of YaHuWaH, the will of YaHuWaH, and his only begotten Son, YaHushuWaH, then you should have insight into these times, into this season, into this time that we have entered. We are not of the darkness. We have the light of YaHushuWaH, the lamp of the word of YaHuWaH, the spirit of truth, the downloaded energy of truth from YaHuWaH through his only begotten Son, YaHushuWaH, to understand the times that we're in. And basically this pattern, this cycle occurs every 50 to 100 years or so. From liberty to subjugation. To being dominated by communist, Satanist ideology, which originated right after the Antichrist got kicked out of Eden. First thing he did was he started to enslave the cavemen. And then when Cain got expelled from the family, the Antichrist met up with him. They cut a deal. The Antichrist is the leader of the empire to be worshipped. Cain and his seed were the nobility, and the cavemen were the subjects, the slaves, to do their bidding. And I pretty much did a summary from the beginning to the end in my last video to help everybody get caught up. And on YouTube, that would be on the channel TANAKH Christian. I'm not sure where I'm going to be posting this video or uploading this video, because I despise using platforms that are run or owned and operated by hardcore scumbags. And if you've been paying attention, keeping up with current events, wherever you are in the world, we've been told the big picture via scripture thousands of years in advance. And more recently, in the past 4 years, we've been told a more precise picture of the short term in advance. Okay? And as far as America goes, because most people agree, if America falls, the world falls. Because our enemy, their goal has been the same since the Antichrist got kicked out of Eden, since day one of the Jubilee count, the start of the Jubilee count. And that is basically feudalism, communism, Satanism, domination. They want worldwide domination. They almost, well, I shouldn't say almost, they pretty much had it at the time of Babel. But then that's when the Almighty separated them. And the nation state is the design of the Almighty. So if you're one of them, I'm a global citizen, globalism this, globalism that, thinking it's cool, you are going against the Almighty. The Almighty made the nation state. And its reason is to check tyranny. And there will not be a new order or a one order. There won't be one. It's not going to happen. All that fear mongering is baloney. Yes, they're trying to do that, but it ain't going to happen until the final 3.5 years, which is when Babylon the Great is created. The mark of the beast, the mark of Apollyon, the Antichrist, is what creates Babylon the Great. And those little 45 days is the Great Tribulation. There's two tribulations. The first tribulation is the fifth seal. Second tribulation is the Great Tribulation. And it's the 45 days when the beasts force the DNA of Apollyon onto humans to rewrite their DNA to be made into his image. No longer human, but hybrids. And that's only a 45-day period. And then they kill all who refuse the mark. And the fifth seal martyrs, that's only a short period of time too. The tribulations are a short period of time. When people talk about a 7-year tribulation or 3.5-year tribulation, they don't have the proper insight or understanding. Okay. But I just went totally flying off the subject. But anyway, that's been their goal since day one. It ain't gonna happen in the near future. But it's begun. We are in uncharted waters. There's no going back. We've been told this in advance that it had to be this way. Okay. So if you've been paying attention to the intelligence that we've been given in advance 4 years ago, it's all playing out the way we've been told. Okay. And America, most people agree that if America falls, the world falls. It'll be a domino effect. And America is the end time Ephraim, which is the leader of the camp of Ephraim. Okay? And Gabriel is the chief of Ephraim. The the Red Bull, Gabriel, the second seal. He's the chief of Ephraim. Michael's the chief of the camp of Judah. Phanuel is the chief of the camp of Reuben, and Raphael is the chief of the camp of Dan, the eagle. Phanuel, the face of man. Michael, the lion, the first seal. After the Messiah gets his crown and begins his conquest to put his enemies under his feet. All right. So, you know, it looks crazy what's going on, but we've been told that this was going to happen because the people who love liberty that began this process, which ultimately comes from the Almighty, He chose the end-time Elijah, the end-time anointed ruler of Daniel 9, and has empowered him to do this. So who is the end-time Elijah? It's President Trump. All right. There was Elijah, the original Elijah. Then there was the one who came to prepare the way for the Messiah, John the Baptist. And then there's the end-time Elijah who comes to prepare the way of the second coming of the Messiah, which is President Donald John Trump. Okay? Now, what did Elijah do? Well, he trapped all the false prophets, brought them all into one place, showed Israel who the true Almighty is, and then had Israel arrest them. He said, don't let one escape. And then he slew them with the sword. Okay? And that's the process that we're witnessing take place, or in the near future take place. Because we were told that the military was the only way. The United States military was the only way. Because I believe that the lovers of liberty who planned this have Michael and Gabriel leading them. All right? So it's not just military planning. It's beyond that. Way beyond that. It's we know the future planning. And the reason why they said the military was the only way is because they know the scope and the depth of the corruption, of the blackmail, of the wickedness. And over these past couple weeks, it was revealed to us that everything's corrupt. You can't count on the local courts. You can't count on the state courts. You can't count on the Supreme Court. You can't count on the representatives. You can't count on the senators. You can't count on the governors. You can't count on the secretaries of state. The vast majority are corrupt. You know, there might be one or two decent ones here or there, but what good is that? That's why we were told the military is the only way. All right? And we were given the countdown that it's going to begin with President Trump's censorship, removal, specifically of Twitter, but now he's basically been removed of everything. Even I just read the people that run his email or whatever shut it down. So, when you look back in hindsight and, the past 10 or 15, 20 years, whatever you want to say, if you had a decent job, if you were well off, life was all right, okay, some good days, some bad days. It's easy to shrug this off and not have the proper perspective. I understand that. But you have to get into the proper perspective. This is the final stand for both the good guys and the bad guys. And the leaders, the chiefs of both sides know that this is the last stand. Okay? We're told in Daniel 12 that Michael, the chief, makes the final stand. Okay, and then we're told in Revelation 12 that the devil, the chief of the Gentile nations, well, basically the four holy angels of the altar, the Almighty put them over Shem and his offspring. Now, at that time, the devil and his angels, they were still holy. And the Almighty put them as chiefs over Ham and Japheth, which are referred to as the Gentiles. Gentiles can be used in a couple different ways. It would be Jubilees refers to the cavemen as Gentiles. And then some places it just refers to as unbelievers as Gentiles or non-Jews as Gentiles. Right? But as far as the chiefs over the nations, it's Gentiles as the Ham and Japheth. Okay. So, in Revelation 12, when the devil and his minions get thrown down from the moon, which is where their headquarters is, interestingly, I just watched a documentary that basically confirmed what I've been saying for the past year or so, that the devil and his minions, their headquarters is in the moon. When it talks about Gog and the north parts, when you look into the Hebrew, it's actually talking about the dark, gloomy rear side. And it's not the north parts of Earth, it's space is where they get thrown down from. Right? So, when they get thrown down in Revelation 12, after the war in space, it says that he knows he has but a short time. Okay. They know. The good chiefs know. The bad chiefs know. This is the final stand. All right. So, I'm getting a little off track here because I got some good information here. So let's start with the date. Okay. So it's 1/9/2021, 298th day of the year, 25th day of the 10th month. It's the 43rd Parsha, the 5th Sabbath of the 6th Sabbath week cycle. In the first year of the first week of the 70th week, and we just entered the 121st Jubilee. 5,973rd year since the birth of sin in 3973 BC. 6,000 years since the transformation of a caveman into Adam in 3980 BC. And I get these dates from the extremely rare and prophesied celestial signs. So, 2 videos ago, my last video, I just did a recap of from the beginning to the end, just so everybody can get caught up to speed. The one prior to that, I gave a high watch, which would have been the 24th day of the 9th month, which I got via Haggai 2. All right. And Zechariah 1 is the start of Revelation 6, basically. Right? It's confirming. That's how you put the puzzle pieces together. Because the Almighty gives us the prophecies over and over and over and over and over. So we have several different places to match them up. And Enoch was the first prophet. And it's one of the biggest, most foolish mistakes a Berean type believer, someone who studies to show thyself approved, good workman. It's one of the worst mistakes you can make is writing off the book of Enoch. Why? Because Enoch was the original prophet. The Almighty gave most of the prophecies straight to him, as did Michael and Gabriel and Phanuel and Raphael. They were giving them information too, and then you'll see that the prophecies that were given to Enoch, then they're confirmed all throughout the scripture, or what we call the scripture. So, Haggai 2, which is when the setup, okay, transitions into Zechariah 1, and it's in a true order timing sequence, okay? So the throne is set in Haggai 2. Then the Almighty tells us, from this day on, I will bless you. Excuse me. Even though you're unworthy. In Revelation 4, John tells us that the throne is already set when he is raptured with the wise virgins, the church of Philadelphia, the elders. Okay? The wise virgins, Philadelphia, and the elders, they are the same entity. All right? They're the same group. Meaning, the first rapture did not have to happen on the exact day of the 24th day of the 9th month when I gave that high watch. Okay, that would have been the day of the setup. Or could have been. All right? So just like the original tabernacle, The setup of the tabernacle process in the wilderness was the rehearsal for the actual event that occurs in Revelation, which is New Jerusalem, right? And if you've been checking out my videos for some time now, you would know that I originally thought that Passover would be the timing of the first rapture, because the first rapture is the Passover pilgrimage, right? But it's looking like the first rapture is going to occur in the wintertime very soon, in my opinion, which is what I'll get to in this video, and not the spring. The setup more than likely occurred over a couple days, not just one. And I'm talking about in the wilderness. Then the high priest was consecrated. Then the priests were consecrated. And I believe this process was the forerunner of Passover and unleavened bread. Or, excuse me, I had that backwards. Passover and unleavened bread were the forerunner of the consecration process. So the process, the tabernacle's set up in the wilderness. Okay. The Almighty gives Moses all the instructions. All right. Passover and unleavened bread foreshadowed the tabernacle setup. Yeah, I have this backwards. Okay. And then they are rehearsals for the actual event that occurs in New Jerusalem in Revelation 4, 5, and 6. Well, mainly 4 and 5. So, on the first day of the first month to the 9th day of the first month, I believe is when the tabernacle was set up. Everything was being laid out properly. Moses was doing all that YaHuWaH commanded. And that's Exodus 40. And that equals the throne being set up in New Jerusalem in Revelation 4. Okay. So, the tabernacle's built in the wilderness. You know, all the furnishings are put into place. And then the altar's consecrated. Alright. Now, I believe more than likely on the 10th day of the first month is when Moses brings Aaron and his sons to the doorway of the tent. And that's a foreshadow of Messiah, the high priest, and the sons, the elders, at the doorway. Meaning Messiah is at the door. He opens the door. All right. Then the consecration of Aaron as high priest is Messiah, the high priest, the Passover lamb chosen. Then we see the actual event of these rehearsals in Revelation 5. Who is worthy? And the lamb that was slain. The Lion of the tribe of Judah. Okay. Then after the consecration of Aaron and his sons, then Moses commanded all of Israel to assemble at the doorway. Okay? Now, I believe that this would be the forerunner of the judgment that begins in the house of YaHuWaH. Because when the Messiah is at the door and he opens the door, only Philadelphia enters, the elders, the wise virgins. All other parts of the body, the other congregations, have to remain alive and remain. Okay, now from the 11th day of the first month to the 21st day, only Aaron and his sons are called near. And this is, I believe, the foreshadow of the first rapture. Okay. They're washed with water, transformation. Then Moses is commanded to put the holy crown on Aaron, and the Messiah gets his crown, and he's high priest and high king. Then Moses is told to put turbans on the sons, which is, we see the crowns on the elders in New Jerusalem. And then finally, Aaron and his sons remain at the doorway for 7 days. And I think that there might be a 7-day consecration process after the rapture. That the Church of Philadelphia, the wise virgins, the elders, when after the open door, they go into New Jerusalem, and then there's a process. And I actually had a dream, a prophetic dream of that process. And that's probably what I'm going to title the video, just so more people get to see this video, if they have the patience to listen to all my flapping. But anyway, in my prophetic dream, I was in like a shower house, or like a large shower, but instead of the water coming down from the top, it was shooting out at the sides, and the water looked like iodine water, like if you mixed iodine into water. And then I was holding 2 big bowls. They were like really flat and wide. And then I remember going down to the one side, like I was falling down to take a knee. And there was a lot of people there around me, and I remember like looking around, like, doesn't anybody notice that these bowls are huge and awkward, and I'm falling, and And then after that, I was in a crowd, and I seen the Messiah about 15 feet in front of me on a white horse. And he was just trotting, like looking at us all. Very regal. Very kingly looking. And he didn't look angry. He didn't look like super happy or anything. He just looked like he was looking over his people and getting ready to ride. And I had that dream a couple months ago, and I believe it was the Messiah giving me a little heads up that it's almost go time. So, then we are also told that the Almighty is going to shake the heavens and earth, etc. Going means it is a future event. Thus, at the point of the setup, the first rapture does not occur. He is telling us that the birth pains, the seals, come after he blesses from this day on. Okay? The transition into Zechariah is the transition into the shaking of heaven and earth, etc. because he's going to shake it. But then it doesn't start happening until Zechariah, or in between the two is the open door in heaven, and that's what shakes the heaven and the earth. The power, the energy of the open door. So, interestingly, Zechariah 1 begins with a call to repentance, and it is a mini version of Moses' final message. And it is also the judgment that begins in the house of YaHuWaH, which is the wise virgins are the only portion of the body that are found worthy to escape. And we see that in Revelation 3 and Revelation 4. The Messiah promises Philadelphia to escape the trial, the temptation. He promises them a strong position in New Jerusalem, and he tells them not to lose their crown. Well, we see all those promises fulfilled in the next verse in Revelation 4 via the elders. That's why I know they're the same entity, because obviously the elders escape the trial because they get raptured and they're in New Jerusalem. And then we see them, they have golden crowns. Or I don't know. The Greek is a little, I don't know if it's crowns or wreaths or turbans. And then they have a strong position in New Jerusalem because they are part of the court. And they were accounted worthy. So, and the reason they are accounted worthy is because they keep the commandments and are faithful to the Messiah, not just one or the other. So the transition into Zechariah. So the Almighty is saying, return to me and I will return to you. According with our ways and our deeds, he has dealt with us. Okay. This is another picture of the wise virgins. Okay. They did the will of YaHuWaH and were faithful to YaHushuWaH. Not just one or the other. Like Jews keep the commandments, but aren't faithful to YaHushuWaH. Christians are faithful to YaHushuWaH, but don't necessarily keep the commandments, specifically the Sabbath. Okay? And then there's a call to repentance. And then we also see in, I believe it's Matthew 7, that the ones that remain who are saying, you know, Messiah, Messiah, we've done all these great things in your name. And then he says, depart from me, you who are lawless. Okay. Lawless isn't talking about America's laws or, police laws. Lawless is talking about the commandments. So it's a callback to the law. And I believe that after the first rapture, there's going to be a gigantic revival. And part of that revival is going to be a understanding, a proper insight across the board about doing the will of YaHuWaH, keeping the commandments, and being faithful to the Messiah. Okay, now it's just a small sect, or technically just one portion of the body, the congregation of Philadelphia. So then we see in Zechariah 1 that on the 24th day of the 11th month, which is 2/7/2021, a man is mounting a red horse, and other horses were following him, which, the seals. Now, the Hebrew could be mounting or riding, all right? These are the ones who YaHuWaH sent to come to earth. Because, let me just go to that. So over here in Haggai 2, on the 24th day of the 9th month, okay, he's going to shake the heavens and the earth. He's going to overthrow thrones, kingdoms, all right? And then he talks about the servant, my servant, which is a forerunner. Zerubbabel is representing the Messiah. Okay, I will make you like a signet ring. And what his signet rings are? Seals. Used to make the seals. Okay. Yet from this day on, I will bless you. And then we transition to Zechariah 1. He gives us the call to repentance, return to me. All right, then on the 24th day of the 11th month, I saw at night, and behold, a man was riding or mounting on a red horse, and he was stationed among the myrtle trees. Okay, and then red, sorrel, and white horses behind him. Then I said, what are these? And the angel who was speaking with me said, I will show you. And the man who was standing among the myrtle trees responded and said, these are the ones whom YaHuWaH has sent to come to the earth. Now, interestingly, when you go into the Greek, what is that? Zechariah 1:10. Zechariah 1:10. Okay. YaHuWaH has sent. Okay. So, the most translation translate it as patrol the earth, or to go to and fro. All right. But when you go to the Greek, it says to go, come. All right. So now the horse riders are sent to come to earth. Okay. Now, when we go to Revelation 6, and I watch when the Lamb opened the first seal, and I heard the first of the 4 living creatures, the holy angel Michael, saying with a voice of thunder, I come. So the Hebrew in Zechariah 1 is talking about coming to earth, and in the Greek in Revelation 6, it's I come. So the holy angels are saying, I come, which is a fulfillment of the prophecy in Zechariah. The seals. So they responded to the angel of YaHuWaH, who was standing among the myrtle trees, and said, "We have come to the earth, and behold, all the earth is still and quiet." All right, wow. We have come to the earth. And behold, all the earth is all the earth remains quiet, undisturbed, idle, rest, still. Okay, at peace. All right, and then we go to Revelation 6, 5. Oops. Would be 4. And it was granted to him to take the peace from the earth, that men would slay men, and a great sword was given to him. So, was given and granted are the same Greek words. All right. Now, peace. All right. So, peace. The Greek word for peace matches the Hebrew word in the Greek word for peace in Revelation 6 matches the Hebrew word in Zechariah 1, where he says, "Behold, all the earth remains at peace, quiet, undisturbed." Okay. Then the angel of YaHuWaH said, "YaHuWaH, how long will you take no pity on Jerusalem and the cities of Judah? With which you have been indignant for these 70 years. And YaHuWaH responded, gracious words, comforting words, proclaim, saying, this is what YaHuWaH says, I am exceedingly jealous for Jerusalem and Zion, but I am very angry with the nations who are arrogant. While I was only a little angry, they furthered the disaster." Okay. Now, like I've explained in the past, most of the time when the Almighty's talking about the nations, he's not talking about people. He's talking to the chiefs of the nations. Meaning, right here, he's talking about the devil and his minions, who are chief over non-believers or over certain areas of the earth. All right. Now, what I believe he means here by they furthered the disaster is that you had the Antichrist rebel in Eden and get kicked out, put into flesh. Then you had the 200 come down, rebel, get put into flesh. Now that is what made him angry. Okay? But he dealt with it, with the flood, and locking them up. Now, when Satan and his minions rebelled, and got kicked out of Eden around the time of Tyre, however you say it. That's what I believe he's talking about. You furthered the disaster. You added on to it. You made it worse. Okay, it would have just been them, but now you did it. You know, you added on to it. So I believe that's what he's saying there. All right. Let me get back to all right, now another thing I forgot to mention is the earth remains at peace, undisturbed, quiet, appeased, idle, still, which is confirmed, or a confirmation of Revelation 6:4, the removal of peace. And then it's also, we have 1 Thessalonians 5:4, peace and safety. Okay? Now, what did I just do? Here we go. Then he says, I will return to Jerusalem with compassion, and my presence will be established in it. Okay. Okay, the transition to wrath now. Now, he says, then I raised my eyes and looked, and behold, there were 4 horns. Okay, but this isn't literally 4. This is talking about the whole. Like this pie right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, make up the whole. So he's talking about the whole of the chiefs who did this service, this wickedness. And scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. Okay. Then YaHuWaH showed me 4 craftsmen. Now, this is not craftsmen. That's a very bad translation. It's warriors. So YaHuWaH showed me 4 warriors. And then Zechariah says, what are these coming to do? And he said, you know, those are the chiefs, the horns, that have the 10 horns of the beast that have scattered Judah so that no one lifts up his head. But these are the warriors who have come to frighten them. That'll be during the 70th week, which we're in. To throw down, that'll be the start of the 71st week. Okay. So there you have that transition to wrath at the end of Zechariah 1. Throw down is the war in space, which would be after the second rapture, in the midst, right after the 7th seal, right after he gathers the remaining of his people into New Jerusalem to secure them before the war in heaven, the last trump. Okay. And when he's talking about they come to scatter Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem, that's talking about when Jerusalem's surrounded by the armies in Luke 21:20, which is right after the second rapture, the 7th seal, the day of redemption. So you have the seventh seal, the day of redemption, the second rapture of those who are alive and remain because they missed the first rapture. After he secures them into New Jerusalem, boom, sounds the war trumpet. The devil and his minions get thrown down from the moon, their headquarters. All right, and New Jerusalem obliterates the moon, and the fallout from the destruction, the blasting away of the moon, is what hits Earth. Okay. And the army that surrounds Jerusalem is not humans. All right, it's the Revelation 9, Joel 2, Centaurian army from the abyss. Okay. People who think that it's Turkey or Russia or China or European Union, whoever, they don't have insight, proper insight. I'm trying to say it. Be gracious. They don't have proper insight. Okay. The proper perspective. Because the sixth seal is a near extinction level event. The first trumpet is a near extinction level event. The second trumpet is a near extinction level event. Within a couple months, 3 near extinction level events. And then you, with a straight face, are going to try to preach to 1,000 people and tell them that this is Turkey or Russia coming down for little old Jerusalem or Israel? No. Humans won't even be able to feed themselves at that point in time. This army is the Centaurian army that come out of the abyss. Okay. I don't know what's going on with that. So, our generation is blessed to witness the greatest events in human history since the first coming of the Messiah. We are literally the last human generation. Flesh cannot inherit the kingdom of YaHuWaH. POTUS Trump has been chosen by the Almighty. It was prophesied in Daniel 9:25, the anointed ruler, and Malachi 4:5, the one who comes to prepare the way before the great and terrible day. Okay? And the great and terrible day was not when the first coming of the Messiah. It's the second coming, which we see in Revelation 6:17. Right? The great day. All throughout Scripture, we are given testimonies of the anointed overcoming seemingly impossible odds to be victorious. Why would the end-time generation be any different? All the anointed of the past, they dealt face-to-face with angels, and occasionally YaHuWaH himself. Right? So why would the end-time generation be any different? That's why I'm certain that there are angels in President Trump's inner circle. Okay? Now, the thing about where we're at is that President Trump tried every avenue of approach in human terms, and they all failed. Currently, it looks like it's over. Done deal. Beijing Biden will be inaugurated on January 20th. right? And that's what the majority of people will see and think. But, like the ancient Israelites, when there was a mountain range to the left, a mountain range to the right, a Red Sea to their backs, and the world's strongest army to their front, pursuing them enraged that they just lost their children because of, and they're blaming it on the Israelites. That would look hopeless to them. They went from they weren't warriors. They weren't an organized army. They were slaves that just got free. Or released, I should say. So it looked literally hopeless. No hope. Why did you bring us out here to be killed? At least when we were in Egypt, our bellies were full. And then the Almighty ripped open the Red Sea and they crossed on dry land. All right? Why? Because then only you can credit the Almighty. He made it happen. Humans couldn't do that. He made it happen. Well, we're pretty much at a point where, there's no way. But I told you all this in advance, that I believed that was what's going to happen. That was what was going to happen. It was going to get worse, look worse, and then, boom. The open door. The hammer drops. So, we've been given advance notice in the scriptures, prophets, dreamers, patriots. When we put the puzzle pieces together, we can get a good understanding of how the next few months will play out. Because we know President Trump is the end-time Elijah, the anointed ruler chosen by YaHuWaH, it is safe to say that he will be victorious against the fraud and will continue to prepare the way. And then I give some examples here of how similar things have happened in the past. David came out on top. Elijah won. Moses led them through the Red Sea. All right, so like I warned you all a couple videos ago, we've been given advance warning that there will be a short time when the USA will be in an immediate blackout with virtually no communications for approximately 10 days. That's extremely quickly approaching, because one of the first step that we were told was going to be when President Trump gets his Twitter removed, and that just happened yesterday. So we're there. All right. Now, interestingly, the rider on the red horse is granted the authority for men to slay men, and given the great sword, which is judicial punishment. The sword in Revelation 6 for the red horse is in the Greek it sounds like machete. All right, and that's representing judicial punishment. But then the sword in the black horse, that sounds like Shemitah, the Shemitah, and that's representing literal war. Okay, but I don't believe I hope I'm wrong. Or excuse me. I hope I'm right. But because a lot of people have been saying that, the USA is going to be judged and we're going to get nuked and this and that. But I've been saying no, that's not true. For the simple fact that the red horse is not about war. It's about Elijah, the life of Elijah. The black horse is not about worldwide financial collapse. It's about the life of Elisha. And then the pale horse is Death and Hades, which is Gog and Magog, which is Satan and his minions. They are granted the Middle East, control over the Middle East, the original area where the nations were separated. Okay, and I believe that's where, if there's any war, that's where it's going to be. But what it's really talking about is when the minions come out of the abyss and start killing everything. That's what I believe it's really talking about, because the horses, when they ride, it's the whole period of time. It's not just one little segment. So when the white horse rides with the Messiah, he's going forth conquering and to conquer, meaning continual victory with no defeats. So that's the whole period of time, all the way until to the end. Same thing with the red horse, black horse. So the fact that they're granted this term granted, okay, I don't think it's just going to be a report that D&I Ratcliffe passes to President Trump or whoever, or Durham. I don't believe it's just a report that Durham's going to give, okay? Because, what helped Elijah get the false prophets was the Almighty rained fire down from heaven, from New Jerusalem, which he opened a wormhole and shot fire down and licked up the sacrifice. Okay? That's what trapped the false prophets. Elijah got them in, and then boom. And that's what changed Israel from being led astray to seizing the false prophets, not letting one escape, and then killing them. Alright? And that's the same thing we're seeing. They are now all gathering into one place. And the moment when it's darkest, full of despair, and it's going to look like the whole world appears to be against President Trump and his people, which is us, for the most part. And the good guys are losing. Then we should have the advance notice of 1 Thessalonians 5:3. Okay? But I have an alternative to this. Alright? So the wormhole in the sky opens, the wise virgins are removed, taken to New Jerusalem. Gabriel comes in power to assist the patriots, which is the last part of Washington's vision. Justice is swiftly executed, authority given. The wicked are locked up, executed, whatever happens. Patriots will secure the USA and then continue to destroy the works of the devil. And it's going to be like a domino effect in the opposite direction. If USA falls in a negative way, the whole world falls. But if the USA is victorious, that's also going to have a domino effect all throughout the world. And they're going to deal with their corruption. Because it's actually the Messiah that's doing it. Because then he's going to be coming in power. Going forth conquering and to conquer. Alright? And like I said, when the fourth seal, the jurisdiction is given to death and Hades, that's not a promotion, that's a demotion. Because currently they control the whole earth. And it's pretty obvious when you see what they're doing to the end time Elijah. Okay, so here is the 1 Thessalonians 5:3 alternative. All right. For when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction will come upon them like labor pains on a pregnant woman, and none shall escape. And that brings us back to Elisha. Let not one escape. Okay. Then we see in Luke 21:34-35 that this day will not come upon you suddenly. So we have the sudden and suddenly. Like a trap. Right? For it will come upon all those who dwell on the face of the earth. Meaning the wise virgins escape. Okay? Now, when you go to the Greek about peace, all right, let me just go there real quick. 1 Thessalonians 5:3. For when they might say peace. Okay. Now the definition given in the Greek is one, peace, quietness, rest. Okay, so that harkens back to Zechariah. But then the help word study, it says to join together, to tie together into a whole, or properly wholeness, as one. We all agree, as one. We're a whole. It's all tied together. All right? Okay. And then the Greek word for security is certainty, security, safety, security, reliableness, firmness. Okay. The root is not to totter. Firmness that equates to security. All right. But one of the main definitions is certainty. Okay. Now, when you, let's see, certify. When you look up the word certify, it comes from the Latin word certus, certain. Okay, keep that in mind. You probably know where I'm going with this, all right? Now, for the past, who knows how long, but most Christians, preachers, teachers have taught that this peace and safety is a peace deal, okay? Then COVID came along, and I said that it might be a health welfare, meaning it might be when they say we got it under control. It's taken care of. All right? But now, with what just occurred, it might be this. Okay. Which would read like this. So for when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction, right? But with what we just went over, for when they say joined together as one, learn how to spell here. Okay, there we go. For when they say joined together as one and certify, then sudden destruction equals trap comes upon them. And it specify comes upon them. Who? The ones who are saying joined together as one, certifying. They will not escape. Elijah and the false prophets. Let not one escape. The Almighty, via his anointed Elijah, gathered all the false prophets into one place in order to set a trap for them. The Almighty, via his end-time anointed ruler, gathered all the swamp into one place in order to set a trap for them. And none shall escape. Behold, he cometh in power and glory, with a voice of thunder. I come. Now, another little interesting tidbit is that people have noticed that the Parsha readings, the title of the Parsha readings, get fulfilled prophetically. Okay. So the titles for the Parsha readings over the next couple of weeks are extremely interesting, and the fact that everything seems to be coming to a head, converging. It's an extremely high watch period. So we have on the 15th of January, the first day of the 11th month, which is when we're supposed to blast the shofar at the head of the month. The final message of Moses before the Israelites crossed the Jordan to enter the Promised Land. Okay, because Moses wasn't allowed to enter the Promised Land. He was only able to lead them there. Okay. And then, like I said, his final message was all about keeping the law, doing the will of YaHuWaH, and you'll be blessed. If you don't do it, you'll be cursed. If you do it, you'll remain in the land. If you don't do it, you'll be scattered to the wind. All right? Then, on the 16th, the second day of the 11th month, the Parsha title is "And I Appeared." So is that when the Messiah opens the wormhole? Could be. Time will tell. Then on the 18th, the fourth day of the 11th month, Zechariah 1. How long will you have no pity on Jerusalem, which you have been indignant these 70 years? Well, because I used to think the end time generation started with when Israel became a nation. But since that 70 years has come and gone, I think that the end time generation did not begin until after Israel voted to make Jerusalem the capital, which was 1950. All right. So you have the 70 years. And then after that 70-year period, the Almighty sends the warriors, which is the 4 holy angels of the altar, to come to earth. All right? Now, why am I saying this? Because the anniversary of when Jerusalem was declared capital in 1950 is right here. The 18th of January, or the 4th day of the 11th month. And then we have 1/20/2021 is the 6th day of the 11th month, USA Presidential Inauguration Day. All right. And then you have the 23rd, 9th day of the 11th month. Parsha title is Enter. So, all right, so where are we at? We are right here. The Sabbath, Parsha 43. The title is Names, which is the 5th Sabbath of the 6th Sabbath cycle. Okay, that's where we're at now. What happened recently? Okay, we passed Zechariah 7, scattered with a storm. We passed Ezra 10, proclamation made to assemble. Recommitment to the law, the heavy rain. Okay. We passed Haggai 2, the 24th day of the 9th month, the setup. Shake. I am going to shake heaven and earth. Okay. Then we had some major celestial signs taking place. All right. We had a total solar eclipse on, or excuse me, yes, on 14th day of the 12th, on December 14th. Okay, now this total solar eclipse occurred on the day when America certified fraud. Okay. Now, 2 days after that, during the Feast of Dedication, the Feast of Lights, Hanukkah, we had the first day of winter, the winter shofar blast, the day of remembrance. Okay, that's the 10th month is when Esther's taken to the palace of the king. And Ezra 10, that's when the investigation began of the Israelites who went into idolatry. Total solar eclipses are considered a bad omen for the nations, for the earth. And it happened on the exact day when America certified fraud. Okay, then exactly a week later, on the solstice, There was the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, which is a very significant celestially. All right. So that's some interesting celestial signs occurring. All right. Now we get to the present, and we have the beginning of the in-your-face siege attempt. Okay. The Patriots knew that the commies were going to infiltrate the Stop the Steal protest. Okay. They knew it. But what happened as a result of that? The commies are showing their true colors. There's just no shadow of a doubt for people now how wicked and despicable they are. And it's allowing mobilization to occur. Okay? And then, like I said, the Almighty set a trap for the false prophets, got them all into one place. Otherwise, the Israelites would have had to hunt them down all throughout, and then some would have escaped. But no, he got them all into one place. So when it was go time, boom, they seized them and killed them. All right. Now that the fraud has been certified, all avenues have been exhausted, what's going to happen? They're going to come together on the 20th to certify, to inaugurate a fraudulent president to be leader of the world. Now, is it going to get there? I don't know. Because we have this date right here. We have this Parsha. I appeared. We have the anniversary of Jerusalem. And then the following Parsha is Enter. So, does the open door happen right around the 15th and 16th? And then wise virgins remain in, or I should say, go to New Jerusalem and go through a consecration process before entering the throne room? I don't know. But it seems like by the time the 24th day of the 11th month rolls around, the seals have already begun. All right. So, extremely interesting time. It's going to get very weird. I hope you guys are prepared physically, spiritually, mentally. Let's see. Did I get everything? I'm sure I forgot a whole bunch of stuff, but it's been a while already. So, I hope this helped. Keep the faith. Hold the line. And the beginning of the storm, it's It's here. All right, and YaHuWaH tells us that he comes in the storm clouds. All right, when he speaks, thunder, lightning. I'm looking so forward to the open door. All right, so take care. May the will of YaHuWaH be done. In the name of his precious, beloved, only begotten Son, YaHushuWaH. Take care.